If people really knew how heinous and how insidious life is for the golden child, many more of us wouldn't feel like they got the better treatment, the better end of the stick, the grand prize, as it were. If more people sat down and really thought about the implications of the golden child's life, the patterns of their lives, the way that the narc has puppeted them around, like puppets on strings. If more of us thought of that, we would have, less feelings of, okay, you bested me or whatever, or I was never given the same treatment. I'm here to say the golden child is actually worse off than us. He or she is, okay? And I'll tell you why. Now, I'll give you a scenario because I come from country people, right? If you're doing a frog boil, right? Let's say you're doing a frog boil and you have one frog and you drop him in the pot and the water's still cool, but you put the fire on simmer, right? And you slowly turn it up, right? That frog is sitting there chilling, hanging out, taking, feeling like he's in a jacuzzi. Okay. That frog is just hanging out. But you and I both know what's going to happen when that water heats up to a certain degree. He's going to boil, he's going to be cooked, he's going to be eaten, he's going to be frog legs. The second frog, okay, so that first frog, just think of him as the golden child. That second frog is the scapegoat. And what happens to that frog is the pot of water is already boiling and they throw him in. Right? There's no illusions of, oh, you're just taking a nice little bath, froggy. There's no illusions of, oh, this is a nice warm environment, you could swim around. We don't get any of those illusions. We get the treatment that isn't seen in public. We get the words that are not to be said or repeated to others. That's what we get. We get the boiled alive immediately experience. There is no pretense of taking a nice leisurely dip in the jacuzzi. The bottom line is, and the point being, both frogs are going to die. Both frogs are going to be consumed. Both frogs are going to be used for their meat and for their resources and whatever else you could get out of a frog. Okay? That is the life of the golden child and the scapegoat. We sit back and we feel so bad about ourselves because that's the design of the narcissist. The design of the narcissist, okay, is to make you as a scapegoat / truth teller feel alone. That is why the triangulation, that is why a golden child is selected. Well, that's one of the reasons. One of the other reasons that a golden child is selected is because that golden child probably reminds a narc the most of him or herself, and that golden child might be less astute, less able to pick up the patterns of abuse and call those things out. So this is going to be a more pliant, compliant, malleable piece of clay that they can mold and shape at their whim, whereas you as the scapegoat truth teller were probably wide-eyed and innocent at one point, and probably had some decent morals, and probably were a little bit too independent for their liking, because these narcs, these estranged parents, they don't like independent children. Most parents who give a damn about their kids and want them to grow up to be happy, successful adults, who are productive and can provide for themselves, right? They might look at a kid who's independent and say, wow, that's really great. Look at little Bobby, or look at little Sue. They want to do it themselves. That means they're going to have probably a very good and very productive and successful life. Wow, they're very proactive. Wow, what a go-getter. That's a healthy parent. That's a healthy mindset in a parent. And these narc parents, when they see you and you're independent, it is a threat to them, because these are very insecure, petty, little weird people at their core. Right? So that golden child was selected because they're malleable. A lot of times they're weak. They resemble the narcissistic parent, excuse me. And I guess the biggest point is they're willing to join team anti-you. That's the main thing. If they can successfully get this kid to have an issue with you, this brother, this sister, this cousin, this whatever, if they can successfully plant all the seeds they need to plant, and that golden child has, fertile soil for brains, that's the one who's going to be number one. That's the one who's going to ride shotgun. That's the one who's going to be able to get away with these things. That's the one who's not going to get verbally abused. That's the one who's not going to get physically abused. That's the one. I mean, they might still get those things, but they're definitely going to get them to a lesser degree than you, right? So we then go back to our assumption that the golden child has it better. Understand, they are still that frog in that water, and it's slowly heating up. And it doesn't hit a boil until they're adults. And that's what my brother's doing currently right now. He's realizing that the water's heating up. He's realizing that he should have hopped out the pot just like I did. See, I hopped out the pot. I went no contact. I didn't stay there and allow myself to be used by a narcissistic succubus and a leech. What he's doing currently, okay, he's currently about 33 years old, still living at home, never moved out. Is that shade for anybody who's having hard times and had to go back home? Nope. I had to move back home in my 20s. I had to do that. I had to stay there for about a year to get back on my feet. No shame in it. But this man has never been out the house. This is a full-grown man, 33 years old, went to college, didn't finish, but went there, working a full-time job, got a girlfriend, living in his childhood room, which is filthy as fuck. The last time I went there, it looked like a goddamn tornado hit it, right? He's living there. He's about 6'4", 250, 260 pounds. He was a defensive end. This motherfucker shouldn't be afraid of anything or anyone. He stays in the house. He's one of these people, agoraphobia or something. He claims he doesn't like crowds. Oh, I don't like crowds. I don't like this. All of a sudden, and just as a side note, I think it's interesting because if you have agoraphobia, you've had it. You've had agoraphobia. This guy was on the football field with thousands of people cheering for him, and always played sports at a very high degree. He is a fabulous athlete, okay, to his credit. Surrounded by teammates in locker rooms, high-five and backslapping. Now all of a sudden, because my mom has decided she's a shut-in because that's her game to garner sympathy and of course not have to work. Now that she's decided that she's a shut-in, all of a sudden you're a shut-in. Where the fuck did that come from? But I digress. Okay? But pick up on that. Okay? And look for those little patterns in your golden child, if you care to. But the water's heating up for him. He's starting to feel it. The pan is heating up. His little frog feet are not feeling so comfortable. Because what he's realizing is that he's been manipulated into viewing this person as a victim. He has been guilt-tripped into not leaving the house and going out and forming his own destiny as a man, as an adult. Okay? He has been tricked into being her fucking breadwinner, which is something she should have either done for herself or found in a man to do for her. Again, my mother has a master's degree and $1,200 rent, and has lived off of, oh, I have a disability, I have emotional issues, I have this, I have that. She's been gaming the system since we were knee-high to a cricket. Now all of a sudden you don't know how to game the system because you got a full-grown son with his S on his chest, because he wants to be Superman for this person, Don't be Superman for these losers. Now that I've got my full-grown son who can work, and, of course, I talked him out of going abroad and playing football because then he'd have to leave me. Now that I have a big old strapping son that can work for me, now I can't leave the house. Now I can't drive. Now I can't do these things. And then, now I'm going to eat myself into a space of being sick. They trap you. He is trapped. That water is heating up. And the bullshit thing is, and this is why you got to let golden children have it. As that water heats up, do you know who he's going to blame? Not himself, because he's past the age of 18. Ain't no pointing the finger anymore. You past the age of 18, ain't no pointing the finger anymore. You better figure something out, right? He's not going to blame himself. He's not going to blame his slave master and my narc mother, okay, his pimp and my narc mother, because that's pimping. If you don't know that that's pimping, I don't know what to tell you. You know who he's gonna blame? Moi. Good old Holden. You are the reason that I'm stuck in this situation. You should be here helping me with the narc mom. You should be here helping me with this. But if he were to say that to me, and he's implied it in conversations, and I just kind of looked through them because I was like, I don't negotiate with terrorists. But you know, if he's gonna say that, okay, I'm gonna tell him this is what you wanted. This is what you wanted, because everything about his whole like self-esteem and everything was based on him being, quote unquote, in his mind better than me. Everything about his self-esteem, okay, because this is all they have. This is all the golden child has. Everything in his self-esteem was about, I'm the favorite, I'm the one, I get this treatment, I get that. And I'll tell you this, I was never jealous, because I always felt like, why would I want pearls from swines? Why would I want to be the favorite to someone who's not a good person? I'd rather be the favorite to someone who's successful and honest and like a good person. That's a person whose opinion I would care about. I don't care about this narc's opinion. You can have it. But I say all that to say, this is what he wanted. You're the favorite now. And if you're going to be the favorite of a narc, understand you're only the favorite of the narc because you are useful, right? So when they do these things, when they say these things to you, or they're the favorite, they're the this or that, understand that water is going to boil up, and they're going to realize the game, but they're going to realize it too late. I already hopped out the pot. I'm already chilling on a lily pad somewhere, catching flies, eating real good, okay, and enjoying my environment, enjoying my habitat, okay? That's what I'm doing. My brother's sitting there, everything's heating up, but he feels too guilty to jump out the pot. He feels too guilty, okay, to do what he should do, which is grow up and go get his own. Because the hooks that were put in him were putting him deep, and they were putting him when he was young. The abuse and the crap that I was put through was kind of like the opposite of that. That repelled me. That made me want to get away. A lot of times we think, being scapegoats, being truth tellers, again, that we got the short end of the stick. No, what we got was an incentive to get away from evil, because if you don't get away from evil, you will be consumed. Let the golden child have it. Okay, let the golden child have it, and I'll give you another piece of advice if you care to hear it. Okay, you're watching, so I assume you do. Once they realize they're in that boil, there's some golden children. Okay, I'm not sure if my brother's one of them, because I just view him as a lost cause, honestly. But there are some golden children who realize, oh shit, I should have jumped out the pot too, right? And then they'll jump out the pot halfway, right? They're halfway out the pot, and then they'll reach out to you, right? Not to get advice on how to go no contact, not to get advice on how to heal psychologically and become a person in their own right, rather than just the extension of the narcissist's will. What they'll try to do is reach out to you so they can pull you in the pot, okay? So that they can, if they can't jump out, they want to take you back with them. I'm never getting back in the pot again. You're going to have to figure it out. I'm the one who had to jump up, and I had all kinds of burns on me, and I had to learn how to heal, and I had to learn to go out and swim again and do all that shit. Do you think I'm coming back and jumping back in that pot for you? Do you think I'm going to do that for you? Do you think you deserve that? All the things that have been done and said to me, all the ways that he's shown me that in his eyes I am a second-class citizen, do you think I'm going to come back and save you? When I've given you all the game and all the tools so that you know how to save yourself, but it fell on deaf ears? And I'm supposed to give up my peace for you? No. That's the thing. That's the second point of this video. That's too important to gloss over. Don't go back to these people, because misery loves company. The only way we communicate with these people is, which of course I don't know why they're not blocked. They should be blocked. But if we do communicate with these people, the only time we take pity on these people, the only time we want to deal with these people is if they say, I am going no contact 100% with the narc. I see what you were saying. I apologize for my role in your bullying, because that's exactly what we were. We were fucking bullied by the narc and the golden child. Right? They're going to say, I'm going no contact. I'm sorry about the bullying. I see what you were saying. What are some tools and tips on how to go no contact? Now that's a conversation I would entertain. That shows me you're trying. That shows me all this. Now don't simultaneously try to bitch to me about your problems with the narc, because I don't want to hear about your problems, because I already know what your problems are. I don't need to hear you run down the abuse that you got when I left, because on some level you became somewhat of a scapegoat and now you're getting the treatment I got. I don't need to hear the rundown of my life, because I lived it. But if you want help with, how to go no contact, how to stay strong when you're dealing with flying monkeys, then that's when I would help a golden child. Other than that, I say let them have their rewards. Okay? They've inherited a kingdom of shit. Let them sit there. Okay? Let them sit there.